Welcome back, everybody, to Looking for the Ocean, the show where we watch everything that Pixar has ever made and we talk about what it means to us. Today, we are joined by three friends who make up the podcast Star Wars Therapy. They are Caleb, Alex, and Steven. Thank you guys so much for being on here. I'm Mark Young, as always. I'm joined by Danny Vincent. Danny, hello.
Hi.
I, of course, want to, know how you're doing, but guys from Star Wars Therapy, since there are so many of you, do you just want to, sound off and give a little bit of a hello so people can know your voices and assign a name to the voice?
Absolutely. I'm Caleb. You may have recognized me from the Cars episode, if you got through all the talk about Brendan Fraser.
You gotta say that whenever Cars comes up. It's a lot.
And I'm Alex.
And I'm Steven. You may also recognize me from Star Wars Therapy. Hi.
Oh yeah, that too.
Where we slander George Lucas every month.
Yes.
There I am.
You might recognize all of us as George Lucas impressionists that can be found at Hollywood Boulevard every single day.
I did actually do that for Halloween, for our Halloween party. And the best thing is that I went as George Lucas and Leia, sorry, not Leia, I called you by the costume you went as.
I know.
So Caleb and his
convincing.
girlfriend went as Leia and Han, but Caleb went as Leia and she went as Han. And I had no idea. So I got to sit there with my Adam and Eve, my beautiful creations, my wonderful, wonderful creations.
That is very good.
It's Adam and Eve, not Padme and Eve.
Thank you, Danny. All right, today we're here to
what
talk
the
about...
say. That's what the right-wingers
You know,
say.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it, Danny. I've listened to a couple of episodes at this point, and I've heard a couple of jokes like that. I was going to live to be 78. I am down to a crisp 56 because they've taken years
Damn,
off of my life.
22 years?
So, just,
Well, let's see if I can
Yo, you
definitely.
took drinking age off of his life. God damn.
I know. My depression can drink, and it does.
A whole young adult lost. Anyway, we're there today to speaking of time.
Today.
I'm sorry, I'm so sick.
Let me
You've
tell you
already
guys.
lost control, Mark.
Speaking
I'm so
of
sorry.
time lost,
Do you want me to
we're
tell you what
here
we're doing?
today to talk about Strange Magic, a film from the mind of George Lucas.
I've got
Danny.
strange magic in me. Every
Christ.
time it touches my heart, it turns into mold.
Danny, I want you to know that that is
Oh my
single-handedly
God.
better than any of the songs in the movie.
Yeah, this song, for some reason, this iconic song about magic is not in this film. That includes every... Now, my theory is because
Yes,
it's
it
perfect.
is.
What?
What? Oh, you mean the one that you were singing?
Yes,
not
the
Strange
song that
Magic.
I'm singing.
The-
Yes,
Oh, your rendition
talking
is better, but yes.
Thank you.
I don't know, I got thrown by the switched up lyrics. Anyway, Strange Magic is this 2015 film released by Disney, directed by Gary Rydstrom, who directed Floating? Falling
Nope, he
Up?
directed Lifted.
What?
Mark, let me do it. Let me do it.
Lifted.
I know
Yep.
stuff. Let me go.
Thank you so much.
All right, Strange Magic. This is a film that was in development for years. This is what I was saying right before we recorded. I could not find when Gary Rydstrom got on board for this, because I assume it was in development for way longer than when he got put in charge of it. It gives me the impression that he was the one who landed the plane, so to say. What I got was, I think it was around 2011 is when he directs Hawaiian Vacation as well for Pixar, the Toy Story tune. And then I believe he goes to work at Lucasfilm on this film. Now, this is, I also should have looked this up beforehand. I think this might be the final or close to final last Touchstone film, which is really funny because Touchstone is designed to be the adult film place of Disney, and they're also, well, this movie sucks, so you can have it. We don't want Disney. Oh, okay, no. The last Touchstone movie is The Light Between the Oceans, which is in 2016. This is the third to last Touchstone movie. But yeah, this is a Touchstone picture because Disney did not want their name on it. It was, and I thought this was an apocryphism or whatever it was, but no, Wikipedia, first thing they say about the movie is Lucas has been working on this film for 15 years because he wanted to make Star Wars for girls.
Do we think this is Star Wars for girls,
Yeah.
everyone?
No.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Well,
know.
it definitely is like.
Okay.
It's
If
not
you
like
don't
the
know
worst
what, like,
parts of the
girls
Phantom
are.
Menace and Attack of the Clones for girls.
Which I'm pretty sure
okay.
George doesn't.
So let me say it like this: in the way that when we've talked about George Lucas before, it's like George Lucas himself is a funny guy. Like when I'm assuming when people talk to him, when you see conversations with him, he's a funny guy. Same thing with like how he is around people. I'm sure he's a very good guy. I'm sure he likes women. But in the same way that when he tries to write funny, he's like, oh, I have to do an impression of someone who's funny. What would someone who's funny say? It's like he then does that with women, I think, where he goes, oh, what would girls like singing?
Girls like
nothing
singing, and
else.
also they want their love story to be about marrying this disgust. Well, granted, everyone in this movie looks disgusting.
Yeah.
Are you going to come
I was
against Alan
like, no,
Cummings?
no one's coming out of this unscathed.
Listen,
Well,
he wanted to make it for the
in-
girls. It ended up being for the gays, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But
Actually, I think this movie is incredibly heteronormative, but that's besides the
the gays would disagree with you.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Well, I'll tell you right now, my gay friend, who's not on the podcast, I looked at their Letterboxd review, and they said that their only review is 2.5 stars. This might be the most heteronormative version of a Midsummer Night's Dream ever made. So,
Really? What is? Oh well.
this is an adaptation of a
well,
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah, I know. I just they're all pretty straight. I mean, I haven't seen a.
Don't you like at the end where these two men sidekicks are like, "Hey, you're cute. You're kind of cute. Oh, just to be clear, I'm a girl. I'm just voiced by men. Oh, okay."
Just about
but
every
that's like all
Shakespeare
Shakespeare.
movie or Shakespeare play can be turned very gay very easily, I think.
Okay, but this
Yeah.
is not a play. This is a movie. This is a
And
movie.
just I will respond to it like being more for gays than girls. I was watching this and I was
gays than girls.
like, well, no,
I do need to justify
wait.
this
That's
eventually.
what Luca is too. Luca, the Pixar movie more for gays than girls.
Film theory: is strange magic more pro-gay or anti-women? It's one of the two. It's not in between.
Well, just to respond to the hypothesis that this was like made for girls without girls in mind, I was watching this earlier and thinking like, oh, well, we're gonna come on the podcast and it's gonna be a bunch of dudes and no women, so I need to to run this by some other people first. So I was like showing clips to my girlfriend kind of as I was watching them. And she kind of confirmed what I thought. That was like, I don't know. I feel like women would go for the very gross, like unattractive anti-hero boy, and I think that is appealing. And I think that even though we kind of feel like, oh my gosh, we've seen the heroine like, oh, I'm goth and evil now, and I swing a sword, and that means I'm different. Like we might turn up our noses at that. She was like, nah, I mean, that's legit. Some people want to feel that way, and I'm quoting her kind of, but she was like, I think this movie is just for children, and it is so on the nose with what it wants to say that it's hard to say that it's like, oh, this film is like, anti-women, or it's like for this or for that. I think that it's just clumsy.
I think, yeah, much like a lot of what George Lucas does, I think it's clumsy. But when I was searching online for this, I found two interesting things about it, which is about two more interesting things than I found in the movie itself. One was, which we could talk about a little bit later, George's want to implement contemporary music. The other is this,
Like Elvis. Yeah. Contemporary.
contemporary. The other is the kind of cult embracing of it that a queer audience has done. And it's not like this is a cult classic by any means, but I definitely found a lot of, if people were talking about this movie online, they were queering it. And especially I saw the lens that made this movie remotely interesting is saying that it's a trans for trans narrative with the two main characters being trans. And I was like, okay, Hey, if that's what you get out of this movie, then hell yeah. And that
I'm not allowed to talk about
almost...
transgenders on this podcast anymore after last week's episode. Mark's banned me.
Ah, well, I'm just repeating what I've heard from my fellow queer folk. I could say though, as a queer man, I did not find much queer joy in this movie. It was pretty miserable to get through.
So if I can respond to that real quick I remember, this is fitting because it's a Star Wars thing. I remember there was at one point in my life, there was someone I was working with, and this person was like super, super, super religious. Like not even any way or the other, very uncomfortably like would bring it up in every sentence to the point where it's like, if anyone does that with any topic, you're just like, dude, can you talk about something else? Like basically someone asked him like, oh, do you do anything outdoors? And he goes, you mean out in creation?
Oh, God.
And I was just like,
Oh, no.
okay. So the point I'm trying to make is that I was talking to him the day after I saw The Rise of Skywalker. And yeah, which many people call a religious experience.
I have never felt closer to Satan.
That's the only
True.
movie I've ever walked out of. Like in the middle of the movie, I had to take a lap. I was so mad at something that happened, and I was like, I just need to leave and walk around.
I understand.
And I'll come back.
I understand. I had to go home with my girlfriend, who at the time was not really familiar with Star Wars, and was like, oh, that was a movie. And I was like, no, it wasn't. It was awful. But like, basically, he said to me, this very religious guy said, you know, I found it to be very spiritual, and kind of started going on about like what it meant to him and how he interpreted it. And I was just thinking the whole time, you know what, dude, if you get that out of it, go for it. I'm jealous. I wish I could. I can't. I can't in good moral conscience like do that.
I feel like that's generally a good idea. Like, I generally approach a movie whenever I don't like it, I'm like, dang, I wish I liked this, you know, with the exception of like things that are like obviously like problematic, you know what I mean? In that case, I'm like, no, fuck this movie for existing type of thing. And obviously Strange Magic is not problematic for existing. That said, what I wrote down about the movie was this somehow was, let me see exactly what I wrote down, because I was really proud of how I worded it, and it'll be on my letterbox for when I post it. It's like, this is exactly what I expect it to be, but it's somehow makes it better than I hoped for. Like, I wasn't expecting anything good, but since it wasn't like it wasn't like I was falling asleep while watching it. I was watching it with, like, I was watching it, nothing was retained really, but I wasn't like repulsed by it other than the animation, you know?
Alex, would you like to give your quote that you said a couple of days ago about this?
Oh
movie?
yeah, I was planning to drop that at some point in here.
Yeah.
I'll just admit I'm gonna probably have a hard time with making points on this podcast because I made a prophecy 2 days ago that has come true, and that is the two of them were over here. We were all watching it together, and at the end of the movie, I said, "Guys, I'm gonna be real. 2 days from now, I think I'm going to forget 99.9% of what happened to this movie." And the only thing I can think of right now is wise man say. And then just everything else, that and like the one of the goblins was like insanely detailed on his face. And that's all I remember.
Oh yeah.
Can I give a couple more stats on this movie, even though we've already kind of got into
Go
it?
for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll do some stats.
This is obviously a January release.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most January release.
Except it was
Nothing
released
less.
in Turkey in October.
Oh, do we want to give the turkey stats? That was my favorite part of the other night.
But I do think it's, I don't know if we said this out right. This is a movie that if it came out today would 100% be a tax write-off, because
Yes.
it was only released because they bought Lucasfilm and had this finished film, so they're like, oh, we had to put it out.
If Warner Brothers made
Slot it in
Strange Magic,
January.
Wow, that's
Can you
accurate.
imagine like the news articles like, how dare they cancel Strange Magic? This is George Lucas's vision, and then this is the movie, and everyone's like, oh yeah, it's George Lucas's vision.
Here's my favorite stat. So the movie made $12 million domestically, but don't worry, it made up for that by making $1 million internationally. It was released in 4 countries.
Oh my god.
Turkey, South Africa, Greece, and Singapore.
For the record, I believe that makes it so. I believe I'd have to look it up to be certain, but I know Turning Red made more than this worldwide. I'm pretty sure Solo Luca might have too.
I don't know why, Danny. I thought you were about to say, like, oh, this actually makes this the highest grossing Turkish film of all time. And I was going to say,
At a whopping $31,000.
one lone man had a decision. See it 4,000 times or buy a Honda Civic.
Another thing I really wanted to mention that I did not have a chance to mention is there is this is ILM doing the animation, and they've really only made 2 films, and I kind of am regretting us not doing the other one as like a special episode because Rango rules.
Rango,
really,
Rango's fun. And
It's
has
really a
Trim
shame
Trim
to imagine the
sequence.
team from Rango going like, all right, here's your next project. And then, of course,
Just
it
title
tanks
this
the
episode
studio.
Strange Magic / Rango. We just vaguely talk about a movie we kind of remember.
Wait, is that the one where
Yeah,
Johnny
Rango
Depp
was
is like a
beaters.
gecko?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man, I
Robert
forgot
Vinsky
that
directed it.
existed.
It's kind of
Really?
rad.
Okay. I might check it
Great
out.
score. Great Hans Zimmer score.
Yeah, and Bill Nye, the British one, not the scientist, plays like the snake dude.
He
and
does,
he's
you're
really
right.
great. Yeah, he's awesome.
I just remember Timothy Olyphant shows up in that movie as Clint Eastwood.
Timothy Olyphant in a Western role. That's weird.
Yeah, who would cast him?
He's
would've thought?
he's never done that.
What are
They
the,
should do that for like 5 seasons of a show.
what are the Turkish stats?
Oh,
You said you had them.
yeah, no.
I was like, tell me about the
It was just simply
Mark's
that
been waiting with bated breath.
over its theatrical
opened-
run in Turkey, it made only like $31,000.
It opened at $31,000. It made 49,
Oh,
and it opened in October. So like well into the year, those Turkey fans of George Lucas were waiting for Strange Magic. They were
the same
holding out
way
hope.
Americans went around the block in May of '78.
Can I completely change the subject? 'Cause something really dumb just popped in my head when I was looking at the Wikipedia page. There's a part of this movie where there's a few songs. It's a musical. We'll get into the music eventually, but there's a couple songs that are only like played as chants, like army chants. And one of them starts playing. I'm like, shoot, Matt Reeves must have seen this and like took it for the Batman. And I realize now I was thinking of the Morbius trailer instead of the Batman.
Oh, the people are strangers.
Yes,
Yeah, which I will go ahead and say it. Musically, I was.
it's not something in the way.
So seeing Morbius in theaters was fantastic because it was just me and my dad, and like as soon
Say
as
that
some of the
again.
music in that actually happened, we were like, "That's just the soundtrack from Batman Begins." So I understand why you get the two confused. They're trying. One of them's trying to be about a Batman. The other one's about Batman.
I think Caleb has heard this story. I don't know if anyone else here has heard this. But when I saw Spider-Man No Way Home and we got the Morbius trailer, my brother leans over to me and goes, "Wait, so is that like a multiverse Batman movie?" Because why did he didn't show up in the trailer?
It's the Man Bat movie. We've
What's
been
Kind
waiting
of
for.
makes sense, actually.
Did anyone like know about this movie from like when they were younger in 2015 before we watched
No.
it today? Because I think that I knew about it and I didn't actually know that there were songs in it until it started playing.
I knew it was a
yesterday
jukebox
for me.
musical because I'm always into animation, right? So this is a movie that was on my radar, and then as soon as the trailer came out, I'm like, oh, okay, it's off my radar. Like, as soon as I saw what the animation looked like, I was like, okay, that's fine.
There's another little movie that came out in 2015 that kind of sucked up most of my attention called The Force Awakens.
Oh, so you're thinking
yeah.
about that? Actually, you know what? A trailer was already out for Force Awakens.
Oh,
They
yeah, it
put out
dropped
the
in-
trailer a year in
oh.
advance.
Yeah, it dropped at Christmas, and I had thoughts.
What a modest art house film, honestly.
I know.
Yeah,
One
But
for them,
just
one
a
for me.
girl in the desert.
One for me.
I was tangentially aware of this movie. It was like I around 2014 is when I started to get kind of into film, so like I kind of could start recognizing the movies that are bad. That was kind of the first rule I learned was like if it comes out in January, it's bad. So when I saw it and I saw the animation style, I saw when it was coming out, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna skip that one. And then I watched it with my two friends. And here we
8
are,
years later,
recording a podcast. What a weird sequence of events that led us here. Just
What's
as
better
people.
than this? 3 adults gathering together to watch Strange Magic 8 years
every
after its release.
decision we have ever made in our lives has led us to this moment right here, right now. And I don't regret. I don't regret a single thing.
I'm looking at my letterbox logs for January 2015 because I am curious what I was watching.
Yeah, right?
Looks like I was seeing Birdman
Yeah, I
and
was
getting
probably
hyped for Jupiter Ascending.
I was probably catching up on all the art house or the
2014
Oscar movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I watched
so
The
wait.
Raid 2 at home on opening weekend of this. Oh, I saw
wanna, like,
Selma.
I want to go back to that. You said that was just when you were getting into movies, was like 2014. So was that like the end of high school for you?
Yeah, so I graduated in 2014, and to be honest, for me it was like kind of like my friend groups kind of dissolved at the end of high school, so I felt like pretty abandoned. So like I went to the movies all the time, and I made friends who would want to go to the movies all the time, and like movies just like started to have more of an effect on me, and I started to kind of question why I liked them and started to pick it apart. And of course you get into the nostalgia critic and other things like that, and you kind of build up your own idea of criticism. But the 2014 was kind of the year, because like Whiplash came out that year, Guardians of the Galaxy came out that year, X-Men Days of Future Past came out that year. It was just a great year for movies, and I'm always just like, How to Train Your Dragon 2 came out. Like
That was a year that I always define as like a very spread the love year. I feel like 2015 is very much a year where there's like, there's some really great movies in there, and then summer's basically Mad Max, Fury Road, and Inside Out, right?
Yeah. And then
that was
winter
the good
is The
stuff.
Force Awakens. So
Yeah, and Creed. So it's like
Yeah,
those
exactly.
4 blockbusters, and beyond that it was kind of like very rough, but those were good enough that it covered the year,
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
definitely.
for you too, like your love of movies came out of it being like a communal experience and a way to get to know other people.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh my god, I got to, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy like, I think 9 times in theaters, because like every week, because I was trying to find myself in other people. A lot of the time it was like a girl I was dating or whatever. Hey, do you want to go see this movie? Or like, a friend of mine or whatever. So I started to kind of hang out with whoever wanted to hang out with me, because I was kind of disenfranchised from like not really having a friend group anymore. So getting to do that, it made me get to know people on a different level. And some of those people I'm still friends with to this day. And it's like, I don't know. I started to explore a whole lot more, and I feel like exploring the people I was around, exploring the art I was taking in, because a lot of weird movies came out that year too, like Enemy from Denis Villeneuve came out, and I loved it because I was just like, this is so weird, and I have no idea what this means. I need to go to YouTube and figure out what it means.
Back when YouTube was somewhat innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to like zero in versus everybody else.
Well-
part of the show is like there's an element of biography.
I actually, I was gonna say, can we table Strange Magic for a second? Because I realized we haven't had guests in so long, like new guests. We've had a bunch of returning guests. Mark's like,
Oh, I guess so. But I mean, yeah. If
well, we have
but I
they
don't
have the
really
outline
know
in
what
front of
to-
them, so we can just ask them the introduction questions on the outline. Well,
I don't
Yeah,
even
where
have
is
the
that
outline in
outline,
front
by
of
the
me
way? Is it
anymore.
in the chat?
It's
Yeah.
in the
Put it in
Discord
the
chat.
Discord chat. Yeah.
So we're
yeah.
gonna table Strange Magic for like 10 minutes.
Sorry,
and we'll go.
guys.
Oh, man.
Forgot
you're
how to
fine.
do our show.
I-
We haven't
I
had
don't-
guests in so long. We really new guests. Are all of our guests recently been repeaters, returners?
If I can't talk about
so
Strange
not-
Magic
Oh, that's-
right now, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life.
Well,
Why must you
hold-
do
hold
this
on,
to me?
hold
God.
You have all these notes prepared,
No,
Alex.
I just want people to know how much
No.
I love Strange Magic.
I know. I think that is fair. Here, let me.
I can ask the first question.
Sorry, I pulled up the. Yeah. Ask the first question.
Who
'cause
should I
truly
just
forgot
ask
how
you
to
both
do
and you
our
both
show.
answer at the
Yes,
same time?
exact same
Would that be
time.
best?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
will talk over each other.
Yeah. We totally don't do
Alright.
that enough.
Yeah.
So, how did you first encounter Pixar, as a film or as a studio or as a concept? However you want to take this question.
I mean,
Alex,
I
go
think
first.
like Wait, how do you mean like how did I encounter the
So, like, if
the
I was
thing
to answer
as
this question,
Pixar?
I'd be like, so the way I would define this question for me, it'd be like, oh, when I was a kid, I saw Toy Story on
That's
VHS,
literally
and
what
then
I
see
was
Toy Story
thinking. Yeah, I was like, I mean, I think like Pixar, it's been around long enough, and it's been that like it's in some way, shape, or form a part of all of our childhoods, and so like. For me, it goes all the way back to like Toy Story and stuff like that, where like, you just know movies as movies. You don't really know like I saw the lamp crush the eye in the Pixar logo. I didn't know what that meant, but I was just like, yeah, this is Pixar, I guess. Anyway, Toy Story, fun times.
What is that? What does that mean?
Huh?
What does that mean?
What, the lamp crush
the eye, the lamp crushing the eye? Have you
That's
like
what the logo
decoded?
is.
Have
You're
you
on
like
your
decoded
knees.
that?
Like
your
what
knees
have I
begging
gotten
in
out
front
of
of the
that? I don't
What
know.
I don't know.
psychological?
You just were like you didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I was like, holy
no, it's
shit.
more of like
He
it's
figured
more of
it
like
out.
when you're a kid, you don't like you don't. I don't know. I didn't even question it
just the
because I
stuff
think
that
I'd
plays-
just seen it over the course of my entire childhood.
Yeah, it's just the
love
stuff
it.
that plays in front of the movies, and eventually you figure out that it's a studio. But for a while, it's just like, huh, that lamp really hates that lamp.
I mean,
some
for me,
reason.
it was
What if like
same level as like, oh, there's the FBI warning. I don't know what the hell the FBI is, but
what if like
is
as a
Pixar
society,
the FBI? I
we,
don't
like,
know.
collectively chose to send like Finding Nemo to like space, and like aliens discovered, and they just are like, ooh, let's see what this art from like another culture light years away from us is. And they put it in, and it just begins with the lamp murdering the eye, and they just scream in terror. They take it as like a threat.
Oh my God.
We must demolish them to restore peace to the galaxy.
I
because
love
of
the idea
fucking lamp.
of. I love the idea of a child Alex on his knees in front of a CRT television, just at the top of your lungs every time you put in Toy Story. They're like, yeah, it's Alex's favorite movie, but he has a full-on panic attack at the front. your sweat beating down your forehead. You're just screaming, what does it mean?
Steven, your mic cut out when you screamed.
I know. I'm looking at those beautiful wavelengths. I was like, I'm going to back up for this one. If I can't scream on a
viewers will love
podcast,
that.
what am I doing with my life? Right, Caleb?
I'm not editing this. You can scream all you want.
Just start
Yeah, it's
making
all
TIE
good.
fighter noises.
Alex, our follow-up to that is, what do you think of?
Wait,
now when you
wait.
think of
We have an
What?
unwritten follow-up I wanted to ask really quick.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the
No, we
unwritten
we never write it
follow-up.
down, but it always just comes. When would you guys say you gave like? Everyone leaves Pixar for a little bit, unless you're me.
Oh,
So
I definitely
When
did.
would you say you like? You did? Or
Yeah. I mean, I think I probably left it behind. The general like coming of age times when like you think that you're growing up and you don't need certain things in your life, and certain things take on like a childish
Okay.
meaning, and so like I don't know. I probably left it like
Specifically, I mean,
halfway
like,
through.
Oh.
Maybe like sophomore year of high school, and then probably picked it up towards the end. I don't know. I don't
So
fully
that would've
remember, to be
been
honest
around
with you.
up-
Oh, it'd probably be like
Well, what year do you?
2012.
What year were you a
Probably-
sophomore in high school?
I think 2012.
2012?
I graduated
So
in
that'd be around
2015. So
Brave.
that Brave
Huh?
would be around then. Brave is like 2012.
yeah, I've never seen Brave, so that sounds right.
All right. Probably Toy Story 3 is your get off point because I doubt you've seen Cars 2. So
Actually, I have not seen Cars 2. You're correct about that, but also I didn't really. I definitely didn't see Toy Story 3 when it came out, so it might have been before that, I guess. But
then Up maybe.
huh?
I don't know.
No.
I'm just shooting the movies. Up.
Oh
I'm just
yeah,
looking
Up.
backwards,
No, I was there
basically.
for Up, so I guess
right.
somewhere between Up
listen.
and Toy Story 3.
Listen, Alex, he's trying to make it make sense in his timeline of things, okay? You got to let him do this.
Okay,
You can't question his process.
that's fine.
He's like a Christopher Nolan protagonist. He's on a different timeline.
He's not a different.
But
me
now,
why.
Alex, I want to ask you, what when you think of Pixar now, what do you think of?
Wait.
I think of consistency, I guess, which this movie definitely doesn't fall under. But I think like generally they're pretty good.
It's okay.
I'm never really like I never really go into a Pixar movie like expecting it like to be I usually expect to get something out of it, which is nice. Yeah, this movie aside, I guess I would not have thought that this was
this is
Pixar.
Pixar.
Well,
This
this is a detour from the mind of George Lucas.
Yeah, he is kind
You
of
guys
taking it
talk
off
about
the rails
things
here.
from the mind.
But
A lot of Pixar talent though carried over.
yeah, well
the-
that's the thing I kept saying to them the other day is like, this movie sucks, but like it is pretty beautiful actually. I think like at least the animators are talented, but
Steven, what about you? Have you seen Pixar movies?
ever.
Yeah, so actually, the lamp was my sexual awakening, and I'm really glad I could be
Elaborate on that.
Yeah, what part of
I'd
it?
love to. So,
Google Rule 34 Pixar lamp.
Did you want the lamp to stop on
mostly
you?
for me,
Okay.
well, mostly for me, it was the squeaks, because it does the very specific goes, and that just like really like got me. And I just, I was a very confused 3-year-old watching Bug's Life in the theater, and my mom still hasn't forgiven me for that day. Glad I could talk
Did you see
about it
Cars
here.
2?
I could ask.
Good.
No.
See Cars too.
Absolutely not. No.
It sounds like.
No, in all
it
seriousness,
sounds
Pixar
like you're
movies
a fan
have
of Crash. But
Crash.
anyway, go on. Yeah, they've got they squeak a lot in that movie. But anyway, go on. In your real life, you encountered the Pixar.
So no, actually, so the first movie I ever saw in theaters was actually Bug's Life when I was 3. Aside from that horrible incident I just described with my mom, about my awakening. But no, basically, I've always had Pixar movies in my life. Toy Story is probably the one I remember the most growing up. I think my fall off point, I saw them pretty consistently. I think like it was after Toy Story 3 that I started to feel like maybe I'm moving on past these. And then definitely like I think the last one I saw in theaters was Inside Out, because in 2015.
Coco.
I saw Coco. I just saw it later. And Coco actually I think was like really good. I just I don't know. It's just kind of like one of those once you see a trailer and you're just kind of like, oh, Elemental.
Coco had bad marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also a tough to sell movie, I think. But that's just me. It's a tough movie to sell.
Well, I just also like, I don't know. It seems like for me, at least, seeing the movies they put out, it comes off to me as a studio that has Disney over them saying, you gotta make a movie every 2 years, or like something.
Well, let me tell you, Pixar recently released 3 really great movies, and Disney forced them onto Disney Plus so no one could see them. But very exciting news is you can see them in theaters next year on January, February, and March. I'm doing marketing for them because Disney probably won't do that well with it. But go see those movies in theaters. Stares directly at audience. Not at the person actually talking.
Soul is good. I really like it.
Soul is great. Soul. I'm talking about Soul, Luca, and Turning Red. All 3 of them bangers.
But anyway, so what do you think of when you think of Pixar?
Sorry, my cat.
Or what do you think when you think of the Pixar brand?
I think of a studio that made a lot of movies that I used to love. But I think of a studio that I don't necessarily care about one way or the other. I feel like if someone were to, if Caleb or Alex were to look at me and say, hey, this recent Pixar movie that came out that you didn't see, I think you'll really like Soul, I haven't seen, but I've heard a lot of people recommend it. So I would probably see it, but like, I don't know. I don't feel one way or the other about them right now. Like, will I look back at the movies they made and go, yeah, that absolutely changed my life? Do I look at them now and go, yeah. Like a lot of things.
Just because I just remembered Caleb saying that this is a queer movie. Let me tell you, Luca, there's a queer movie. Anyway.
I've heard that.
That's a straight man.
So,
Well, and now we've gotten back to this, so maybe we can return to that. Caleb, can you want to explain
Wait,
why?
very quick. Have either of you seen Turning Red? Mark
No.
makes me ask everyone.
Nope.
I don't make anyone ask anybody, and I was going to ignore it myself. Anyway,
Then
Well, it's
delete
a
it.
resounding no.
Delete
So.
it.
Mark,
Caleb, who's queering this movie and why?
Oh, it's people online. Like I said, I went and I looked. I just
Great.
Are they like actually queering it, or is this like the Babadook where it's like
no. I think
it's like a
so.
joke
Here's the
that they're
thing.
queering
Here's the
it?
thing about queering, right? So when you queer text, like the practice of queering comes out of a drought of representation, whether that be because there was a formal ban on having queer characters, like how Jim Shooter banned any queer characters from Marvel Comics in the 80s, or if it's just, like societally we don't prioritize those types of stories. And I think because of that, it's a very informal process, and so a lot of times it can come off as a joke. And I think most of the people queering this movie probably are joking when they're doing that, which I think is just as valid as doing like a serious queer reading of something like Luca, because that's part of the queer experience also involves like humor and also involves like stupid bits and stuff. The difference between this and like the Babadook is the Babadook that was embracing a faux pas from a corporation. This seems to be drawn out of people who watch the movie, and whether or not they are taking it seriously, they see something that has enough truth that they can make a joke about it. Much like I've been watching on and off some of the Barbie movies before the live action one came out. And let me tell you,
okay.
those also get queered a lot.
Oh, I've seen those. Yes. I feel like those actually might have more merit to them than Strange Magic in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, what is the valid merit here? I don't think that it's necessarily about like we need to come up with a convincing argument to have this character be canonically queer. I think it's more about how can we find our space within this story. And I definitely think people have found their space within Strange Magic.
No. I realized something. I don't think I ever said Gary Rydstrom directed Lifted, which is a Pixar
did.
short about aliens.
Yes.
But anyway, now that I got that
All
out
right.
of the way,
Well, no, we
let's
also
talk
said that at the beginning because I couldn't remember the name of it, and they were like, he directed Lifted. But I think that it's fascinating that you would be able to identify with people in this film. I found it very hard. Well, no, just because.
man, that is real though. I totally get what you're going for.
I would
yes.
say, Mark, that the identification doesn't come from the characters. It comes from aesthetics and there is a level of camp here.
I think my personal self-identification is just like, oh, I have Bad Romance on my Spotify playlist. Oh, I have Elvis on my Spotify playlist.
Going off of that, for the past 4 years, Lady Gaga has been in my Spotify Wrapped Top 5 simply because of the month of June. So I get you.
Well,
What?
I always get the same notification, same song in the top 5 every year. Same. This is the month it topped. Your number one artist in September was Earth, Wind, and Fire. that just always happens. Always gets to my number 3 most popular song too.
That's funny.
I did want to talk about the music in this film because we haven't explained the plot. I don't know if we're going to, but you should know that any story
Love
beats.
potions. That's the plot.
What, Moira?
Any story
Brenda
beats.
Chapman.
Any story
Well,
beats
there's-
are broken up with bad renditions of pop songs, and George
Just
Lucas
shattered into a million pieces.
George Lucas, he said he wanted to use contemporary music, matching up the words to the story, which was a bit of a challenge, but fun for me to do. I found this interesting because me and Danny watched one of his earlier films, American Graffiti, which uses pop music wonderfully. Yeah, on the Snub Club. That uses it perfectly and like is perfectly able to like chart the emotional course of its character's journey through music. So I'm just trying to figure out what happened here and why this music didn't work.
I think the clear comparison here is not American Graffiti, even though of course that's what we want to say with George Lucas, but I didn't realize this until after I started this episode. But the composer of this is the person who did the music supervising and work on Moulin Rouge, which does it also way better than this does.
Why does
but
that
Moulin
make
Rouge
sense,
also
though?
has what? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, why does that make sense, though? Because, like, I have more problems with Moulin Rouge than most people I know. So, like, half the time for that one, it's just the music that they put in there. There's this very, like, they use dynamics in a way that comes off as, like, very over the top. But if you're not kind of trained to it, very, like, frightening. And, like, it makes me feel like my brain is going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, which it most of the time does, because I have undiagnosed ADHD. But
I think for all of his flaws, Baz Luhrmann knows how to direct a musical number
That's fair.
way better than any, not
That's
even Gary
fair.
Rydstrom. I think anyone involved in this film.
Yeah. They're like, we can do that, but less interesting.
Yeah, I think that's it, because I actually watched Moulin Rouge too, thinking about, like, what's wrong with this? And I think that Moulin Rouge does the thing that George Lucas originally wanted to, which is it really cuts up songs. So a moment, like a song number, is actually like 3 or 4 songs versus one. And I agree, it's also about the direction of it, because most of the songs in Strange Magic, they don't feel like they're coming at the point like they would in a musical. There are like 2 that do that, but then a lot of them feel like very out of place. Like, I don't know, this number seems like, I don't know, it just seems
Like out
like
of left
something.
field?
Yeah.
Sugar pie, honey bunch.
Wow, that was the mic rejected that.
Don't you know I love you?
Well, I think about specifically. I think about with Moulin Rouge. I think about like the moment where like Ewan McGregor is talking to Nicole Kidman, and he's like doing your song, and he's like, "It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside," and then he just turns around and goes, "My gift is my soul," and you're just like, "Whoa!" Like, I think about that, and I'm just like, you know what? When I think about that scene, and then I think about this movie, I go, that makes sense.
This movie could really use a Roxanne also. Like a Roxanne.
Any movie could use Nicole Kidman.
Roxanne. Dun, dun. Although I will say it's a little weird John Leguizamo isn't in this movie. I just feel like it's the type of movie that have John Leguizamo in it.
Who would he play?
What?
Who would he play?
I feel like he definitely should be like.
Like, he'd play the dwarf character, wouldn't he?
No, I think he's too old to play the dwarf character. I think he could play like Alfred Molina's character, but like a little more comedically.
I'm not gonna lie, you said the dwarf character, and I actually forgot that character existed, and then I just pictured what they looked like, and I hated it.
Elijah Kelly.
He has the one song that I think works in the film and as a musical number when he's cheering up whatever the blonde girl's name is.
Guys.
But like you can see that it was when he's singing that song. There's like the subtext of him cheering her up, and then they're like falling in love a little bit, which is the opposite of what I feel with a lot of the other songs in Moulin Rouge, where it's like there's like not subtext, or it's like not, the songs don't work in that way. I don't know. I'm not putting that well.
No, I can see what you mean. Oh, go ahead, Danny.
Oh, well, I was about to kind of change subjects, but it can still relate to music. My thing with this movie was I watched the first hour yesterday and then turned it on today to finish it. And basically, it was very weird because when I turned it off, you know, the 2 main characters, the Bog King and the main character who just
whatever her name is,
the brat doll.
And girl.
They hated each other, and then as soon as I turned it on, all of a sudden they loved each other, and I was just like, "What?
That's how
Did I miss
quickly it
something?" I
happens.
rewinded it a bit, and sure, no, it just flips. It just flips suddenly. And
it's kind of like how if you watch Revenge of the Sith, you know, you can really, in the course of 10 minutes, go from Oh, Anakin seems stressed too. He did what?
There was a...
But
Children.
it's reverse, because now they love each other.
Oh.
Whereas earlier they just hated each other.
Well, they bond, you see, over not loving things. They hate love. And so
But no, but they love each
sad.
other before. They start falling in love during the sword fight, where you don't feel like they're falling in love while watching the sword fight's choreography. But then his mom shows up and goes, "Oh, I guess they're in love," and then suddenly they are in love.
Okay, I don't know what you guys' background with like video games is, but like, have you ever played Oddworld?
I don't know it.
What's Oddworld?
Explain.
Okay, I will go ahead and say this. All of the characters in this look like they could be in Oddworld, which is like...
Oh my god, I forgot about this game.
They can be
Okay, cool. You see what I mean?
Mobile phones.
Yeah, you're 100% on the money with that. Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh. They look like they're ripped
and the
directly
mom
from
in
it.
particular... The mom in particular is just disgusting looking, and I hate the character design because it's just like... It also just kind of like... I don't know... I feel like I look at her and then I look at the Bog King and I have to really make that leap in my head that that's his mom. Like,
Wait, I didn't piece that
Yeah.
together. That's his mom?
yeah, that's his
Wait,
mom.
you're talking about the little
Exactly.
frog lady with the wide mouth?
Yeah!
That's his
That's his
mom.
mom.
Yeah.
Somehow
what I
this
mean,
troll to this
Bruh.
cricket. We don't have to go into detail.
I also gotta say, I wonder if there's like, this is sorry, I'm very jumpy to this stuff. This you guys bring up Oddworld. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm sorry, but it's cool that it reminds me of a video game. But I
Yeah,
wonder if there's something to. What? No, go on.
Oh, I
you're
was
not
just
done,
going to
keep
say,
going.
it's really nice that it can remind me of something else while I'm watching it.
That's a very fair point.
Yeah.
Remind me of something else.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if there's something for me and Mark as the Pixar followers. I wonder if there's something to. And I feel like I'm gonna say this. Mark's gonna be like, Danny, stop speculating behind the scenes
Don't
stuff you
put
know
that
nothing
on me.
about. What?
Oh, go anyway, go on.
I wonder if there's something to Gary Rydstrom getting his Pixar film canceled, Newt, and then going over to this movie and being like, "Hey, Brenda Chapman, who got fired from Brave, would you like to play the animal sidekick in this?" Because Brenda Chapman got fired from Brave. Mark's gonna like, stop gossiping.
I don't think there was anything to that. I didn't know that she played the animal sidekick, though.
She
That's
plays
kinda
the imp.
funny.
Which I thought was a cute design. It's the closest this movie has to a cute design.
Danny, I'll go ahead and say this. Is it a conspiracy level like kind of thing, or did she need to pay rent? Because I think she might have just needed to pay rent.
No, she got fired because John Lasseter doesn't believe in women. Typical.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
know that.
Yeah, it's
Basically along
conspiracy
those
theory.
lines.
All right.
No, so the going off of kind of the visuals, what's interesting here is that I do think what my buddy Joey, who's an animator, calls the good dinosaur problem, which is that the backgrounds are very beautiful and the character designs are very functional, but neither work in tandem. And I feel like you have the same here, where like these are pretty good like environments, and they look like as well as you could do in 2015 with this type of movie with this type of budget. This looks like a very convincing like forest environment, and then the characters look like upgraded models from a Barbie movie, and these two things just clash together. And then the characters interacting, like there's never a sense of like scale with the environment. Like you never get the idea of how like small these characters are in relation to how big the forest is. So I it's definitely not a unique problem to this movie, but it's just a shame that like that even the technical elements that are working here are working against each other.
I think another big problem I had here, specifically with the character designs, is I think all these characters are too skinny. And by that I specifically mean whenever we have these big dance numbers, right? You can so clearly see like they're supposed to be filling the screen, but there's so much space between their legs. Constantly, because they're just so skinny. It has nothing to do with like how they're blocked. It's just there's so much dead space because they all have Barbie doll proportions.
All these unrealistic body
This movie is a 2 out of
types.
10. This movie is a
Exactly.
2
Even the
out
Bog
of
King
10.
is too skinny. Like the monsters are too skinny too. They can't dance.
The official IGN review, 5 out of 10. That thigh gap, though.
Great
That's pretty
IGN.
much
Can't
what
Is that
You're
something you
right,
actually
yeah.
read from that? Oh,
No.
I don't know. I believe
I
it. I've
wish
seen
there was
laser.
an IGN review.
That'd be something.
I wish IGN would just have the balls just to be like, you know what?
Oh,
Whatever.
you said IGN.
Like,
I was thinking IMDb. I was like, I'm sure someone's definitely said that on IMDb.
no, the best Rotten Tomatoes review that I saw for this was, this movie is really about looks don't matter. But the problem is that in animation, looks do matter, and this movie's pretty fucking ugly.
I think
It's also like looks totally matter. Like everyone in this film is judged by their outward appearance,
Absolutely.
and they use like it's an expression of their inner selves. The
But
movie
the
has a whole
Bog
scene
King
about that.
is a nice guy.
I mean, he's not nice. They love each other because they're both broken people who don't trust others.
Danny, he has a
Which is
song
the
where he
greatest
goes,
foundation for a
"I'm
relationship.
evil."
Okay, but
Is-
again, remember, none of the songs have anything to do with anything going on. With
Yeah,
this
no,
scene.
I know. I'm
Danny,
just
Singing, I
joking
was like, all right,
around.
he's singing again.
Danny, don't you remember that part at the end of the movie where he looks at the camera and says, I had an arc?
You guys stick through the credits for the post-credits scene.
Wait, was there?
Oh, we
That's all
did
it
not.
is.
We
Yeah.
paused at the
There's a
moment the
mid-credit
credits.
scene where they show because you know how at the end the bad guy gets punched and they very clearly show the love potion dripping all over.
Oh
him.
yeah.
He gets to make out with like a leech in the credits or something
Actually,
like that.
Believe it
Or
or
a mosquito,
not,
yeah.
the after credits scene, actually, I did look it up online. It's kind of weird. So it does involve the Avengers. Samuel L. Jackson comes up as Nick Fury, and he actually was like, I'd like to talk to you about them, but he doesn't see them, and they're so small that he steps on them. And
the
Oh yeah,
movie.
that's-
he like murders
and
the
that-
whole
and that's
village
it.
basically.
yeah, they're dead.
Good for
they're
him.
dead. Yeah.
What do y'all think about the? Do you think it's weird that a movie about how like you can love anyone and like love wins and all this stuff hinges on a MacGuffin that can invalidate your own personal will with love and make you fall in love with anything?
Actually,
You
I
know
don't have
what?
an issue with that.
I actually like that it is defeated by true love. Like, for whatever reason, that gets me a little bit. It's not enough to fully win me over, but
And
I
you already
actually
get the
don't
line, like, I
mind
think the
that.
mom says to the Bog King, where it's like, maybe it's a Sugar Players, it says, like, well, it would have sucked because it wouldn't have been real. And so I think the movie very clearly is like, love potions bad, but also this is a Midsummer Night's Dream adaptation, so we have love potions. So.
Of course, it complicates everything because, like, what, Dawn or whatever the fuck the blonde woman's name is, doesn't love Sunny until he saves her. Like, that's all that it takes. She never loved anyone before. She's just, like, head in the clouds for the whole movie, not loving anyone, totally, at the mercy of the love potion. That's kind of frustrating. But I like the sentiment that the potion can be defeated by true love.
So did one single tear drip down your face at the end of this movie?
I feel
Pick us up
like
that mark.
Nah,
Not at the end.
I can
I
see
mean,
it.
I was exhausted. I felt physical things.
I was gonna
feel
say
like
I was
the better
so
version
fan the
of
whole
this
time.
movie-
Yeah.
Going, why?
I feel
What
like
does
a
it
better
mean?
version. I feel like a better version of this movie rips off Frozen, and has like the spell be broken by her true love for her sister type of thing. But also, I think that's way beyond what this movie is like ever like addressing.
I think that
Yeah.
twist can only be done by Frozen from now on. Like, I don't think another movie would ever dare.
Well, sure, but at the
do
time
that.
of this movie being in development, I feel like that could have been something they had and like they didn't have time to fix. You know what I mean?
That's true. Yeah. I also like. I do wish that there was a character in movies like this where they can acknowledge that's like you're fine off without romantic love, like, or even familial love. Like, you can just make it by with like you love yourself, or you have like the love of your community around you. But so much of these
I
type
think
of
it's hard to
movies,
sell that to parents. It's
Yeah,
hard to sell that to
true,
parents.
yeah, but like, this movie
If I were
didn't
a
sell to
parent, I'd
anyone,
want
so
that.
like,
It sold
It's true.
$31,000 to
If
Turkey.
I were a parent,
that's true.
Hell yeah.
Now,
this movie has more important things on its mind. Daniel.
well, can I talk about a movie I saw recently that is related? Trust me, it's very related to this. That-
Yeah.
So, a couple days ago, I went to see the #1 animated film in theaters this fall. and I'm of course talking about Trolls Band Together because Wish is bombing. And the important thing about that is just in general Trolls. I don't know if any of you have seen Trolls, like any of the Trolls movies.
I've seen the first one.
But they all go into this jukebox musical style way better than this movie does. I saw Trolls 3. I was like, I don't remember anything from Trolls 3, right? Much like Strange Magic, like a couple days from now. The difference is, while I was watching Trolls 3, I was like, this is nice. Like, they're singing good as hell, and they're trolls. And now there's a chase scene, and it's set to Sweet Dreams Are Made of These that the bad guy's singing. Like, this is nice. Like, I can't complain about this pop music. Like,
the reason I saw Trolls was because I was playing some music one time. I was hanging out with my sister, and I was playing music, and Tears for Fears came on, Sound of Silence. Or not Tears for Fears, Simon and Garfunkel. Completely different group. And she was like, oh, I know this song from Trolls. And I was like, this song is in Trolls? And so she pulled up the scene. It's a genuinely hilarious scene. But
Yes.
that prompted us to sit down at our very uncomfortable kitchen table and watch the entirety of Trolls. I feel like there's just a lot more knowledge of both of like a broad taste in music with that movie, but also how to make a scene funny using music.
I also think, even though they're based off of toys, they have a much better idea on what makes a cute character design, that even the ugly characters in Trolls are like, you can look at them, like they are ugly, but they are fun ugly. And in the new one, they meet these other trolls that are just animated like sock puppets. And they're great. They're fantastic. I was really happy when the sock puppet trolls showed up. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, these puppets, they're amazing.
Are they actual sock puppets, or are they just
No, they're animated.
Okay.
I should see if there's like any pictures of these trolls online. Trolls band together puppets. Because they were really cute. And I was just so in shock at like how adorable they were. I was like, I like these trolls. I could band together with these trolls. Am I right?
Well, I'm down to 37.
Guys, what do you think is a better title? Trolls Band Together or Jurassic World Dominion? Because both of them are sequels that randomly drop the colon. Let me show you this other. There's a character in it named Crimp.
Doesn't Star Trek Into Darkness also do that?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so rake them. So there's this character in it named Crimp that looks like a mop. And she's great.
Okay.
I'm going to show you a picture of Crimp. And Mark's going to put
you.
Crimp in the title of the episode image of this, because I'm going to make it.
What am I gonna do here? I'm gonna tell people that we're showing them a picture of Crimp, and if you want to play along at home, go look up a picture of Crimp.
Look at Crimp.
There we go.
Okay.
Crimp is
There's
great.
Crimp.
I love Crimp. Crimp
There
is
we
so
go.
cool.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
I'm trying to find the sock puppet one still. I'm sorry.
I will say, I did find it really weird in that one scene in the new one, because I did end up seeing it. I did find it kind of weird whenever they were doing Good as Hell that, the main character troll looked back at the other dancing trolls and said, lose some weight, fatty, try to keep up. I thought that was kind of weird. But other than that, I thought it was a good movie. 8 out of 10. 5 stars.
Yeah, and Dan Schneider came out and slapped one of them in the face. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. Said, come sit on Papa's knee.
So
Sorry.
Strange Magic.
Yeah.
Why can I not find a name with a troll's wife?
I don't know.
What's the troll's wife's name?
Did anyone else get a chance to answer the question of whether they cared or not about like it being a love potion? I don't even think the love potion's in the movie very much.
No,
I
it's only
think
in there when it's like used. It's not really talked about.
It's a MacGuffin. It's not a mechanic.
Yeah. No, there's a Bill Cosby joke somewhere that I'm trying to find. And it just...
Oh, that's right, there was.
Wait, what?
All right, I found
Wait,
the picture.
No.
Am I wrong about that?
I'm just saying I'm trying
Maybe that was
to...
a dream that I
Oh,
had.
it was
I
voiced
was
by
trying to
Patty
come up
Harrison.
with one, but it's failing me at the moment, but...
That's the sock puppet troll.
Oh,
Oh my god.
all right, that's significally better
All
than
right,
the
I'll
first
shut
one
up.
you sent.
Danny, I feel like this is your Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. It's a perfectly serviceable movie that because you're a fan of like a couple of things in it, you will champion it to the end. Isn't that right, Caleb?
It's honestly more
sort of-
explicitly like I saw Wish and I saw Trolls Band Together, and one of them was a good movie, and
Yeah,
it's
the one
not
was
the one the
Wish.
internet's talking about.
But also, Steven, like, you don't want to have this fight because I've played D&D with two of the people on this call, which I think, like, enhances their ability to defend the D&D movie. So
That makes sense, yeah.
You played D&D with all the people on this call. Have you?
I haven't
played
played it with
once.
Mark.
Oh, not with Mark. Okay.
Mark, have you played D&D?
I thought you were referring to them, and then never mind.
I wish I had played D&D with Mark in college because I feel like if we had played together, then our campaign wouldn't have ended because of some relationship drama that I won't get into.
I guarantee you my own relationship drama would have ended the campaign.
Well, yeah, that's that's actually true. Never mind.
But I don't actually like D&D. It's too much yelling.
That's
You
fair.
watched the movie?
I don't know. No, because I'm averse to the product. Why would I?
We watched
Fair.
the movie on
wanna-
Thanksgiving,
You're
and my
holding
dad
out
was
for the
like,
magic-
"This really got a
magic
theatrical
movie."
release. It's garbage."
Actually,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Mark, would you go see the other Wizards of the Coast movie, Magic the Gathering?
Is that a thing?
No,
What
but
if it was Magic
was.
Mike the Gathering?
I don't know. I think it's more just like
No one
I-
was gonna buy it.
I liked it. I liked it, Danny.
I like the Lord of the Rings so much, and I think that it, like no other fantasy movie, will ever go as hard as the Lord of the Rings in terms of atmosphere and production value.
Have you seen Strange Magic?
And like
That goes pretty hard with all of those.
like in terms of like fully buying into the themes of the work, and I guess also
Love
like
conquers all.
well
Strange
yeah
Magic.
I mean,
well yeah and this film is also about like why ugly people suck, and I mean not just ugly people, but there is like a moment in the film where it's like, oh, the Bog King fell in love with this beautiful woman, and then you see her, and then the joke is that she's like an ugly toad, and then like all of that happens, and then Lord of the Rings is, you know, obviously about how like women are strong and cool, but also like hanging with the bros is nice and fun, and then you can slay dragons.
My God, I need that to be the review of Lord of the Rings on the back of the box.
you turn over the
Bros are
page,
strong.
says boys' night.
Yeah, boys, yeah. Oh
But,
my God, I love
like-
I
Boys
love
Night,
that
but we're
description, Mark.
respectful to the women.
Like I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm not a big fantasy or a big sci-fi guy because I just kind of had my tastes really set when I was much younger, and it's hard to like
It's
get
just-
away from that.
It's a standard that won't be met. I think it's safe to say that like the style of filmmaking at the time, the ability to get the budget and the team together was like stars aligning with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
it's
yeah,
kind
you
of
can
like
see it nowadays when like Dune can't shoot back to back and stuff. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
yeah. And I mean, it's the thing is with Dune is like I watched Dune and kind of enjoyed it, but it's nowhere near as much as I enjoy the book Dune, and I liked watching the movie Dune because I'd like read the book. We've kind of talked a little bit on this podcast about stuff that I might go see, like if they did an Atlantis reboot with like live action.
Hell yeah.
But stuff like
Okay, enjoy
it's-
directed by like Mark Webber. Like it's gonna.
Well, that's what that's you. I mean, you already said it. It's like really the Lord of the Rings was like this perfect storm, you know, and you know if I don't know what it is.
I told you I like made a really famous GIF about that, right? I once
What
made
a famous GIF.
of Peter Jackson that went viral.
Oh,
Yeah, I wish I could find it though. It's really hard to find now because the original version
really
got
believe
deleted,
you.
so I don't have the link anymore.
It's so famous that it's so hard to find.
Viral
wasn't-
things
no,
often
it's
become-
circled back
It's-
around.
It's hiding in the
Okay, so, like-
it's deep in the Pixar FBI
It was
archives.
in. I uploaded it on Imager, and Imager always deletes stuff. But at the time, most stuff you upload on Imager gets maybe like 20, 30 views. This one got to like 300,000 views in 2 days.
Well, Danny, the original file of the GIF can be found in Atlantis, but unfortunately, you won't allow us to have.
I'm gonna
fun.
find this GIF, and you guys are gonna be mad.
What?
You guys are gonna see it.
What is
like,
he
"That's the
doing
coolest
in
GIF
it?"
ever."
Because I just looked up like
It's-
Peter Jackson gifs.
I mean, I looked it up too. I can't find it right now. Maybe if I can find the. I could. Let me see if I can find the website it was on originally.
So, Mark,
is-
I did have a follow-up question for you in regards to kind of what you said about taste. You were saying about you're not really a fan of sci-fi or like fantasy too much. Is there anything about those genres that like kind of inherently makes you kind of like push back or like maybe go, I'm not going to be into that? Like, is there a resistance there?
Well, sci-fi is easy because sci-fi, the books are always going to be way more detailed than the movies. And what I enjoy about a sci-fi book is actually like hard sci-fi and like really technical, detailed descriptions of things. Like I love when books have like a ton of math and it's just kind of explaining math to you. Like if you can explain math to me in a fun way, that's like a trillion times more interesting to me than like, oh God, my wife sucks. Which, when you translate these books to the screen, is usually like how it ends up. It's like because you have to have, because movies are made with people, so you have to have people drama, and it's very hard to like make a like using
I found the GIF,
time as
guys.
the medium for your art when you're just writing technical descriptions. But that's actually what I enjoy about sci-fi. With fantasy, it's just, I don't know, fantasy is always a little bit like it's always seemed a little bit like conservative values to me. And I know I just talked about like the fun of chilling with the boys that make the Lord of the Rings appealing, but the Lord of the Rings is so wholesome to me. And I also think the Lord of the Rings, I mean, I don't know, the Lord of the Rings that's just all that it is. The Lord of the Rings seems very wholesome to me in a way that like Sam saying that he wants to go be with the like the barmaid.
Rosie.
For some reason, that coming
What of a
from him
nerd.
seems very like innocent to me in a way that it doesn't coming from like the guy playing Highlander or something like
I mean,
that.
listen, the bro had to climb up a volcano just to get the courage to ask a girl out who already liked him.
Yeah,
like,
and I think
that's
I
real.
think that's
Yeah, been there.
relatable.
Yeah, been there. Those exact circumstances.
So, Mark,
Yeah.
and then we can.
So I think that's it too. It's like it's most for me. It's like it's all about these like fucking muscle guys, and that shit. It's kind of like a war. They become war movies instead of chilling and eating food and
You don't
I don't
get
know.
the
I just
intimate
want
movie.
something different.
So
Yeah, you don't get the intimate kind of moments, and I think like part of what you're saying too. I think the difference is with sci-fi books. You can get like lost in those details and kind of like really love that part of it. With fantasy, a lot of the details, a lot of the time is let me tell you about characters that existed a while ago but don't exist anymore and have no bearing on the plot. And it's like, and that's kind of the difficulty there. So I totally understand that though. But thank you for explaining that, Caleb.
Yeah.
no, I was just curious, and then we can hop anywhere y'all want.
Yeah.
As
You can talk
as
about
an,
the GIF I sent.
I
as
love
an
I
actor-
love this.
What,
As-
the GIF I sent?
as an actor,
Wow.
I did see the
would,
GIF you sent. It is a good GIF.
You know
Does
what?
your-
I reversed the zoom out on him to get that. And I was very proud of it.
I'm gonna name
Does
my
your-
first child GIF now.
My GIF of Peter
Yeah.
Jackson.
Not
looking
Danny, just GIF.
Alright, Caleb, I'm sorry.
No,
I
you're good.
just wanted to show the GIF. It did
Mark-
go viral.
Mark, does your hesitancy towards consuming that type of genre stuff, would that translate over into like a creative capacity? Like, would you, if you had like a million options in front of you for like an acting role, would you avoid the ones that fall into sci-fi because you don't think that those would be satisfying projects to work on?
Incredibly no, because actually one of my dreams is not a dream role, but I want to do jobs, like how Frank Langella is Skeletor, and how Orson Welles is Unicron.
Yeah.
I want to do one of those, or like several. I would love to be the guy who takes the villain role like so seriously that it's like, holy shit, who is this guy? Like, what's he doing over there in the middle of this like shit show?
Yeah.
So I would actually love to do that. I mean, it's all, it's so hard to relate these things to each other. It's all tied up in like different aspects of myself.
It is funny
but...
you saying that, because hearing your voice, you have a very like deep voice, and so like when I think of the characters that we just listed, I do think of like the fact that Orson Welles' Unicron is literally just like Megatron, like just the whole time. So it's like I could totally see you doing that actually.
Yeah, and I mean there are so many. There's like James Earl Jones, like obviously as Darth Vader, but then like James Earl Jones and Conan, and just there are so many examples of this. I would love to have one of those parts.
Yeah, I love that.
And I don't mind that other people like those movies. I like that idea because I too have been a child. It's just I don't really enjoy them much anymore, just because I kind of found out that I like sci-fi books more for another reason.
Oh yeah, totally get it. I totally get it. I was actually gonna say, I don't know how into video games you are, but like, I'm a huge fan of like the Soulsborne kind of franchise, which are known for difficulty, but like for me, the thing that they should be known for is like the world building. I think that all of the characters are really cool, and it's just interesting that like it's kind of based on how much you interact with the material in that way. Like reading an item description can make you understand a boss, which I think is really really interesting. So I was just curious.
Oh yeah, I mean I love all those games. I don't play video games a whole lot because I get kind of like sucked into them too much, but I've watched like full Let's Plays of all of those games.
Siri, play Strange Magic.
All right, back to Strange Magic.
Sorry.
Wow, they finally got me.
Okay, I just sent an image of Peter Jackson looking dejected. So
That was a hell of a transition.
Play Strange.
Magic.
So anyway, welcome back to
Please
Soulscast.
wear your helmets while you
Welcome
ride
back.
your segways.
Wait, what's the one? Alexa, play Strange Magic. Now everyone's listening to their health dramatic.
Oh Jesus Christ! I can't believe we did this.
Or are you just trying to get like everyone
yeah,
that's listening to this podcast to like be forced into this?
Strange Magic.
Bum, 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 bum.
So what other like burning shit did people come in here with to talk about Strange Magic with?
Well, the movie.
Man, that silence was deafening. Oh.
The movie is burning shit, so I mean that's about what I got for you.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't have anywhere to go with this. I just wanted to affirm what you said earlier.
I did have something I wanted to
just
say.
that like. There's so much intellectualizing you can do about a film, but sometimes you just are so turned off, and that was
There's
me
one moment at the end of this movie where I actually felt very happy. I felt, and then this sounds like I'm using my bit voice, but this is legit. I was watching
the
this movie, and it
kaleidoscope
was like
stuff?
one of those things. What?
Was it the kaleidoscope stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the very end.
I was
yeah.
like, this is like 2001: Space Odyssey right
That was
now.
wild.
That's showing pretty colors, and I like it.
That felt like acid flashbacks for a trip I haven't had yet.
Well,
Like,
I
it
what's
was-
really funny about it is first it starts like it looks like cool kaleidoscope images, and then you realize very quickly, oh, they're just mirroring the wall.
Yeah.
Well, it's
That's
the
really well
moment
done.
like it's the moment that like faces start like melting together, where it's just that like yeah, and you're just like yeah,
Or like
It's something
just-
a 6-year-old could do on their iPad, but because I was watching Strange Magic, I was like, "This is amazing! This is like Stan Brakhage and Lynn Lai had a baby."
I thought you were about to say Stanley Kubrick.
So
gonna
what part
be
of
like-
this movie that we all, at least I really loved, was that.
So the end. When it ended.
Well,
an hour
the movie
40
was
minutes.
No, because I listened for the
I was really out of it,
real,
but
I
hour
sat for the
41.
post-credit scene.
Let's go.
I was curious if any of the actors got billing, and it turned out none of them did. So that's why I saw the mid-credits scene, because I was just curious about the billing, and there was no billing.
There was no billing.
I wonder if part of the bomminess of this was that it didn't really have any big stars.
I'm so surprised it didn't have Mark Hamill. You could easily slotted Mark Hamill into this.
Well, I think he would have played the Alfred Molina role, and Alfred Molina is the biggest name in the cast.
It's funny because actually, I brought that up during the viewing that we had. I always think about, when I hang out with these two, I'm filming something, and I'm like, we don't even film anything, we just record. I don't know why I always say that. I always say it. The point being, when we were watching it together, like, I think we actually kind of said something about that, right? Where it was like, Mark Hamill, do you think he was contacted? Because, like, I feel like he would have been, like, a choice for the Bog King.
He refused to answer his phone.
I think he would have been too old, but the Bog King still has to be, like, a romantic interest for... That said, Alan Cumming ain't young either, so...
That's kind of my point. I'm like, well, how are they trying to play this character?
I believe is, like, theatrically trained to sing. Not that anyone in this movie actually sounds good, right? But...
Right.
I get why he's there. Like, that's why I'm like, I feel like you slot him more in the Alfred Molina role, because Alfred Molina doesn't really sing in this. But I also am like, well, then you remove Alfred Molina, who's either the most famous person in this cast or second most famous, if you want to say Kristen Chenoweth was having her moment still in 2015.
Yeah, but either way, like, no one's going to go to the theater because Alfred Molina or Alan Cumming are in your animated movie. Like,
yeah, you want to know what happens when you bring up those names? Literally the same result. You say, oh yeah, Alfred Molina. Or you say, oh yeah, Alan Cummings. And you say, who is that? And you say, oh, they were in a Marvel movie in the 2000s. And you go, oh, that guy. And that's it.
I'm looking up the cast for... Alright, so I'm looking up the cast for the most infamous animated bomb of all time.
Norm of the North?
No, Delgo.
Oh, okay.
Food fight?
No.
Oh, God,
There's a
Delgo.
movie that I've seen.
You've seen Delgo? I've never seen Delgo.
Delgo is actually a movie that was part of my childhood.
Welcome back to Delgo Cast.
Did you know that Delgo?
What
Delgo
the fuck is
the
this?
last film.
Delgo had
for
Anne
John.
Bancroft.
This is a crazy thing on Wikipedia, actually. Delgo was the final film for actors Anne Bancroft and John Vernon. Both of them died 3 years before its release. The film is dedicated to Bancroft. So John Vernon, they're like, nah,
Hell
fuck
no.
you, John Vernon.
She deserved it better.
They
Can you
died
imagine
3
someone
years before its release? But they worked on it?
They must have been working on it for a
Dang.
while.
Can you imagine?
Production started in 1999.
What a way to go out.
Can you imagine, like, someone showing up to one of the actors' funerals, like, 3 years
Chief
before the movie
animator
comes out, and they have a poster of the movie, and as they're lowering the casket into the ground, they just toss it in, and, like, their wife and child is there, like, what the fuck was that for? And it's just like, coming to a theater.
You see,
And they just, like, run away.
I'm picturing that happening, but I'm picturing Freddie Prinze Jr., who plays Delgo, doing that. So,
No,
Do you think George Lucas, like, do you think George Lucas and Dave Filoni, like, heard him in that and said,
Oh my god, Kanan. He absolutely needs to be in Star Wars. I need
Can I
him.
read this quote from Delgo? Director, Chief Animator, and Artistic Director Derek Winslow went on record in January 2001 of US Weekly, stating, Delgo would be his finest creation and would outperform Shrek at the box office. What I think is really interesting here is that this is before Shrek came out. So is he saying he thinks Shrek's gonna bomb? Or is he saying, Shrek looks great, but Delgo's gonna be better?
he does that interview, and then his law team comes into his office and say, sir, we have some interesting news to tell you. And it's like, what?
Shrek's tracking really well.
They have Smash Mouth.
They have
And then it's just like... And then you just see, like, the charts for, like, Shrek go, like, all the way up here as All-Star's playing and all the way down here for Delgo.
Wait, when?
What
It's like,
Do you know what year he said that in?
January 2001, so before Shrek
Okay,
came out.
because I was like, because there's like a solid 7 years between Shrek and Delgo, so like, That's wild. Yeah, Delgo is a 2008 American computer animated fantasy adventure.
2008.
So I'm like, wait, how did he say that about Shrek?
I got one last question for y'all. So obviously a lot of talented people worked on this movie, but we have a Star Wars podcast, so we only care about George Lucas. Also, we can do his voice, and it's funny. How does seeing this and knowing that this was like George Lucas's latest passion project, the thing he was working on while Force Awakens was in, or Disney was buying it and putting Force Awakens into production. How does this affect how we see George Lucas? The idea we have of him.
I mean, I don't know. It just kind of confirms some biases I have about him already. It doesn't really give me anything new about him. It's just this is the George Lucas of the Star Wars prequels. There we go.
Yeah, I think that more than what this changes about what we know about George Lucas is more like this raises questions for me about Disney, the production company. Like, why did this happen? Because all of the best George. all of the best George Lucas products have kind of gone through other people, like Steven Spielberg, or the production team of the early Star Wars movies and all of that. And that seems to be the secret code for getting the extremely binary stories that he likes to tell on screen in a satisfying way. And I just I feel like, yeah, this confirms what I feel about George Lucas, but I have all these questions about, well, what about the other people involved here?
I mean, I do think this well, here's the thing about Gary Rydstrom. You can't really kill Gary Rydstrom's career. You just kill, he's like, oh darn, I guess I have to go back to sound mixing Steven Spielberg's films,
Yeah, you can't kill what wasn't there.
Exactly. I stick by that, it looks like Gary Rydstrom joined production in 2012, which means this movie was well and underway before then. And, he landed the plane. This isn't really his fault, I feel like. We might want to be like, yes, directorial vision, but again, something's in development for 15 years and someone comes in for the last 3.
I mean,
not much you can do.
Here's the thing, too, with George Lucas. I'm kind of with you, Danny, with what you said, and in the sense of, it's not so much about what did I learn about him, it's that what did I confirm coming out of this movie? And I was like, absolutely. I started this podcast with it. I will end it with it. It's that when he is given an assignment, I feel like he goes into a different mode. Me joking around with my friends, different than me trying to actively set up and make a joke as a point of entertainment. And I think with him, he gets wrapped up in that. So he's just like, what do girls like? Songs. And then it's just like, let me write every song into the movie that I can. And it's just like, at a point, much like them explaining everything in Star Wars, where he's like, we need to expand on the midichlorians. What if Greedo showed up for a second and we made a joke about him getting shot? What if this happened and we just set up this? And it's just like he gets so involved in the weeds of it that, if you don't have those people who can take a stand, like Mark Hamill, who we still have the Tashi Station line, but at the same time, there were many other lines we've talked about that he was going to be forced to say, and he was like, I'm not saying this. And it's like...
Forced?
There it is.
Thank you, everyone.
Damn, we're gonna kill him off before we can get the sequel trilogy done.
What? What was that?
You're gonna kill Steven off with your jokes before we can get our sequel trilogy commentaries
listen,
done.
You guys have to have me on for Andor. I bring this up every time I talk to Caleb. Do an Andor episode, have me on.
All right, when season 2's out.
Listen, now that it's a meme, we can't have an Andor episode. In fact, you know what? It'll be like the last episode of Star Wars Therapy, and it's just like, hey, Alex, did you watch Andor?
No.
Yeah. What'd you think? It's pretty good.
Did you guys do an episode on Star Wars Visions too?
What?
Do what?
No, we
did
didn't.
An episode on Visions too?
Yeah, we didn't do an episode on Visions 1.
Oh, well, I was going to say, have Mark on for the Argument episode.
I would like to
We
do an
just
episode
kind of
on
talked
Visions,
about it
but
here and there, didn't we? We've talked about it
Yeah,
a few
we
times.
just haven't gotten
but-
to it.
I don't know if I love the Aardman episode.
Oh, I haven't even watched
You
it.
shut your mouth.
What? That I
I'm
haven't
sorry.
watched it.
I don't care if I'm on your podcast.
No,
Steven
that's
does love
fine.
that
I'm a
episode.
big Aardman fan.
All right.
I don't know. I loved the first Divisions.
So, are you gonna force Danny to do an Aardman podcast after you're done with Pixar?
No, after we take a year-long pilgrimage in the desert after completing this podcast, and then we come back. I don't know. We should do like a DreamWorks thing where we do the Road to El Dorado.
I've been
Shit like that.
I've been pitching to all my grad apps that I want to do my dissertation on DreamWorks. So there you go.
So weirdly
Great
enough,
that when you apply to grad school, you're supposed to immediately know what your dissertation's gonna be. But
Damn, that sucks.
But yeah.
So weirdly enough, you guys brought that up with DreamWorks. Actually, a good animated movie that I've revisited a lot, which is strange because I'm not religious, but The Prince of Egypt is one of my favorite episodes ever. One of my favorite movies ever. And
Oh, I
so,
thought you were saying when we did an episode on it. I thought you were saying, "Oh, well, thank you."
Did you guys? Sorry, I didn't actually get to watch it.
Yeah, we
That
did
was
an
early.
episode.
Oh
on
yeah, no, we did. It's a funny coincidence that you said episode, but yeah, we did. I'm in the same place.
It's directed by the person who
rewatch-
directed Brave, so that's why we talked about it.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah,
Brenda Chapman, who
I
did
could
that.
do a once a year Prince of Egypt rewatch.
Oh.
But that'd be a fun thing to do, and it would be like 4 or 5 episodes long, which would be wonderful.
DreamWorks?
But yeah,
Just the
Oh,
2D
you want to do
stuff.
their animated ones?
we would do four good movies. It would be a beautiful premise. This
No.
is the 4
I would
Good Movie
demand
podcast.
3 episodes on each individual Trolls film.
No, see, this
No.
is why if I had to do one with Danny, it would be Cartoon Saloon, because then it's like, well, we got 4 movies, we're good.
No, what I want to
Yeah.
do, follow-up podcast to this one or Snub Club. I gotta do my Adam Driver podcast where I just watch everything Adam Driver did and get my thoughts out there. And then I can do 3 Star Wars episodes. 2
true.
movies I like, and then 1 movie I'm going to be like, why am I spending time acknowledging this exists?
So my
You
bigger
should do
question.
your dissertation on Adam Driver.
What?
Make your life work for you. Do your dissertation on Adam Driver.
No.
Okay. Never mind.
Do
Anyway,
is just a dissertation on his character in Meyerowitz stories.
I should do a dissertation on his SNL sketch where he's the oil bear.
I
love
love
that
that.
Yeah,
God, that
one's great.
sketch is amazing.
My
at me,
girlfriend has told me
boy.
she has no idea who Adam Driver is, and I had the realization that I should just show her that sketch, but it has not happened yet. I need to just pull it up like, you don't know who Adam Driver is? Just watch this for 4 minutes. You're gonna know it.
Adam Driver is in one of my favorite movies of all time, Patterson. So I really,
Patterson is great.
yeah, love that movie. That's one of my
Patterson's
favorites.
a really good movie.
And it's really
So-
hard for me to pitch it to people because I'm like, oh, it's great. Nothing happens. Like, pretty
Hey, that's a
much
Jim
nothing
Jarmusch.
happens.
That's a Jim Jarmusch movie, and I absolutely love him for it.
The other Jim Jarmusch movie Adam Driver I hate, so...
Oh yeah, that one's a rough one, but
yeah.
no. So you were talking about showing people
Well-
SNL skits. Me and my partner will show each other SNL skits that we hadn't seen before, and usually it's always a hit. But then I showed her the Round Ball Rock skit, which I'm not sure if y'all are familiar
Is
with.
that the one where The Rock, sells things at the evil...
It is. It is the guy
I did just
from.
watch that video.
the Rock one.
It's the guy from.
Anyway.
Sorry.
It's the guy from I Think You Should Leave and Jason Sudeikis, and
Yeah.
they are pitching the theme to the NBA, and it is the most obnoxious skit ever, but I love it so much, and I got judged so hard for showing it to her.
R.I.P.
My
I
favorite is. Oh, sorry. Go on. We should.
No.
we should. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say I felt that way when so a particular love that I had when I was younger was terrible movies. And by that I mean movies that I thought were really funny and then later on in life everyone told me were awful and I was like, "Oh, but I love it." because it's so stupid. Two of those movies that I watched as a child, which I definitely think that me watching these movies as much as I did is the reason I didn't get into a better college. I'm very sure of that. Cat in the Hat starring Mike Myers.
I had to
And
watch that once for a podcast. It was terrible.
I know. But I can say almost every line from that movie, and I don't know why. The other one is Master of Disguise, starring Dana Carvey, which is basically a bunch of SNL skits stitched together.
The 9/11 lore on that one is...
Oh my god, it's so funny.
Believe me, Mark. But beyond that, but that's the lore there.
He was in the turtle suit when it happened. But the point being is that, like, I showed it to my girlfriend because I was like, hey, this is a really bad movie, and I want to get your opinion. And we got past the first part where he starts doing a scene from Shrek in his terrible Italian accent, and she paused the movie and looked at me and said, was the entire country of Italy outraged at this? What is this? Like she demanded like public justice for a country.
I need answers.
What does it mean?
Justice. Justice.
It was so good, and then I made her watch the rest of it, and she was like, "I genuinely hated it."
Well, I think that it might be time to wrap things up here. So I'm going to say that a lot of shows like to give films something like star ratings or thumbs up or down or something like that. We here at Looking
For the record,
Ocean,
this movie sucks, by the way.
Yes.
Well, you can prove that. See,
No,
because now we're
mine
going
is
to give
different.
the
I know what mine
films-
is, and it has nothing to do with it. Go on, sorry.
Okay, well, I guess it'll be okay. Anyway, we like to give films objects. Danny, what is this object you want to give the film, which is
Okay.
unrelated to the premise of this bit?
No, it is. It's related to the film, but it's going to be very serious for a second. Which is that this film was edited by a man named Chris Plummer, who also edited Taika Waititi's Boy, which is a much better film that's edited, but it came out before this, so whatever. But when I saw Chris Plummer, this reminded me of the one thing this week that made me really happy. Well, not the one thing this week, but like the one media thing I saw this week that made me like cry a little bit. And that's that The Sound of Music released the original track of Christopher Plummer singing Edelweiss, and I listened to it, and I started crying because it reminded me of like how my dad used to sing it to me growing up. And so I'd like to give Strange Magic a copy on vinyl of Christopher Plummer's recording of Edelweiss, and just to point to it and be like, look at what like art is, and try to comprehend. And it'll be like the obelisk in 2001: A Space Odyssey with all the trolls, and I'll also come around and go, just like look at it in awe and not understand. And then maybe they'll be reborn as like little Von Trapps.
Wow, what a
Well, that's
monolithic
delightful.
answer.
Thank you.
That was fantastic.
Hell yeah.
Wow. Put that on the back of the DVD box for Strange Magic. I'd like to present
Makes you
this
wish you were
movie
listening to Christopher
with
Plummer
another
singing
movie
Edelweiss.
soundtrack.
That's pretty par for the course, honestly.
I would.
Imagine watching this when you can watch The Sound of Music. That's just on the back of the DVD.
Why watch this when you could watch another movie?
So to me, this movie is trash, and so I'm gonna give it the contents of the trash can that I have right under my desk. In which case, it's right here, and it's just all a bunch of Canada Dry cans. So yeah, I fucking hated this movie. There you go.
Sugar pie, honey bunch.
Caleb, your turn.
This movie has an obsession with music, and so I thought it would be appropriate to give it my gold iPod Nano from 2010. But then,
Is that all the soundtrack of Strange Magic?
No, don't get rid
doesn't,
of that. I have memories
then
of
I
that
was like-
iPod.
then I was like, this iPod, I love it so much, and I still boot it up occasionally and will listen to music. So instead, I'm gonna give it my 2009 TrueTech MP3 player that only has Christian music on it, and then like 4 recordings of classic rock songs that I held the MP3 up to the computer because that's the only way I could get secular music at the time. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna give it.
That's amazing.
So, question: do we have to give a physical object that's in the room with us?
It can be a console.
No.
No.
Okay.
Do I have a vinyl of?
No, fair.
You
Okay,
might.
gotcha.
I don't know.
My two co-hosts, Paul, were like, "Oh yeah, well I have something," so I just didn't know if I needed to.
It also doesn't actually have to be an object. It just has to be something that you would give as a gift, whether a good or bad gift. It was, like
You could take it to dinner.
We've done like a poetry reading before,
Mark once came here and read the entire trailer for Atlantis: The Lost Empire out loud. And he cut it from the episode was like, "Well, that was embarrassing, but here's the context of what I tried to give."
So if I could give this movie one thing, I'd give it a couple of things. It's kind of one gift, but it's a couple of parts. I would give them, since it is a Lucasfilm movie that came out in 2015 that, tried to appeal to the masses by using pop music, I'm going to give it the entire collection of Star Wars The Force Awakens Funko Pops, which is actually, it's really cool because one of them's Adam Driver without the mask, the other one is with the mask, and then there's another one that is that's Snoke, but it's actually, Snoke is super big, so it's the biggest one, guys. It's a huge deal. So I'm going to give it to Strange Magic because in order to be marketable, you also have to kind of be good. And that's what The Force Awakens is.
Kind of good.
Yeah.
I'd like for it to just look at the pop figures and go, oh, we could have been that if we tried. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give this film a copy of the film Dougal.
Another bad movie we didn't talk. Wait, is it the French version or the English version?
No, it's the English version. It's I confused it with Delgo, which I have not seen. Dougal is the movie that I've seen. I'm going.
Wait, so I was looking at the wrong movie earlier?
No, I was talking about Delgo. I think Mark
Someone
was
was
talking
talking
about
about Delgo,
okay,
but I
gotcha.
was talking about Dougal.
Delgo and Dougal.
Delgo has.
Oh my
Tom
god, the
Baker in it.
crossover we don't need, but we want.
Delgo v. Dougal, Dawn of Justice.
Delgo v. Dougal. Oh my god.
Dougal. How do
Can
you
it
know
still
that
be
name?
directed by Zack Snyder? Delgo, why would you say that name?
You guys know what Dougal is, right?
It's
It's
Yeah,
that
it's that
dog.
weird shaggy dog.
But like, you know
Yeah.
why it exists,
No.
right? It was like a well-received British movie. A decently received British movie that Harvey Weinstein was like, people don't understand how British accents, so he read up the entire thing with a script by Butch Hartman.
No!
And
Such a
It's a
stupid
French
idea. Okay,
the poster also has celebrities on it: Chevy Chase,
if you're
Judi Dench, Jimmy Fallon, Whoopi Goldberg, William H. Macy, Ian McKellen, Kevin Smith, and Jon Stewart in Dougal.
William
I
H.
guess
Macy's-
Dougal must be played by Chevy Chase.
oh
So I
god,
do just want to say this as well. What's
Oh,
really
it's a
funny?
child who plays Dougal.
What's really funny is we talk about Dougal, we talk about Delgo, we talk about Strange Magic. I feel like all of these movies do inhabit that really weird space of time, and I think we were kind of talking about when we watched it. Kind of to wrap it up is that, like, you know how like you have movies you remember from your childhood, and then you have movies that were just there. Like I'm thinking like Barnyard. I'm thinking like, you know, not the Disney ones, not the Pixar ones, Dougal, Delgo, like you said. You know, like those weird like CG
Happily
3D
Ever
animated
After.
movies. Yes, or like Hoodwinked, like and stuff like that. I think of those like where it's just like we wanted a
Hader's in
style. What's
I
that?
was gonna say that. Bill Hader's in Dougal.
Oh, why?
Yep.
why is
Right.
anyone
Thinks
in
he could take a
Dougal?
job.
Fair.
I gotta say, whatever note, I want you to make your point, but whatever note on Dougal is that it notes that The U.S. version adds 2 characters. One of them is a narrator, so whatever. But then Kevin Smith's character is apparently a moose that is silent in the original. So I guess there's just a moose whose mouth never moves that constantly has Kevin Smith going, "What's going on, guys?"
Weed!
Hey, have you seen Clicks?
Well, guys, it's been great having you on here, guys, from Star Wars.
Thank you for
Therapy.
inviting us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super fun.
it's awesome. Do you guys have anything coming up that you all want to plug?
Nope.
Well,
Listen to their show.
All right.
First off.
our December.
Listen to Star Wars Therapy.
Yeah, we release an episode every on the 4th of every month. Our December episode was a review of recipes from the Star Wars Life Day cookbook with our buddy Bryce. And we just have a bunch of random tangents. We got some exciting stuff planned for January, but probably our big project for 2024 is that we're going to do commentaries on all the sequel movies, which will be interesting because unlike the prequels and the originals, we have mixed feelings on the sequel movies.
Oh boy, is it going to be a wild time.
I would have to imagine you all agree on the last one. No, you don't? Okay, that's interesting.
I
I
mean,
don't want
it's
to think about the last one.
it's one of those things too, the past, what's really cool about the podcast in general is that it really is just, me getting, it's us getting to hang out with each other, me getting to hang out with my 2 friends. And so like, I'd be watching Star Wars regardless, but the past year, especially revisiting the prequels, I gotta say, like, our commentaries were very fun in that way. So for this one, this is that part in the friendship where things may get tested. We'll see. Definitely, we'll be all right for the first commentary, I think.
Oh yeah, Force
then
Awakens will
I'm-
be fine.
Yeah, and then after that,
We'll see what happens
Caleb
with
and I
Last
need to
Jedi.
have some talks. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, do you guys plan on, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, do you guys plan on in 2025 doing the 3 Star Wars released theatrical movies that aren't part of the main saga?
I don't think
that
we
means I
thought
wanted to.
that far ahead.
Okay. Because that'd be Rogue One Solo and the Clone Wars pilot.
We definitely have options. I definitely think we have talked about doing those, and I think it would be a bit of a shame if we didn't do at least Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One's kind of a very well liked movie.
I think
by people.
I think we've talked about alternates to the Clone Wars movie, maybe swapping out with like an arc from the show.
Yeah.
Or you
Better.
could watch the Jendi special.
The what?
You could watch the Jendi movie show.
Yeah, we actually have an episode on that already. But yeah,
I
we
realize
could.
that now. I think I listened to that episode.
But anyway,
It's a
yeah.
great
So
show.
2025, who knows? I might be dead by then.
We might all be dead.
Don't say that. Knock on wood.
Of all of
That'd
us,
be really scary if you are.
I
dead
have the
by
highest chance of being dead because of Danny. I have a sensitivity to these things. Let's put it this way. This was the equivalent of me having a peanut allergy and this man stuffing Reese's in his face the entire time. So...
Well, all right. It is time. Thank you, guys. It's
That was
time
some
to read
strange
the
magic.
credits. That was strange magic. Danny, what are we gonna do next time?
All right. Well, the year is wrapping up, which means it's time for our Christmas special. Woo! This year at Christmas, last year we said maybe we'll do a VeggieTales movie every year, and then I came up with a better idea that Mark agreed with,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
what?
okay. Go on. I don't know. I don't even know what this is gonna be.
Well, there's one thing not listed here that I'm going to ask Mark right now if he wants to commit to covering it too. Mark.
Yeah. What? Ask
Do
me the question.
you want to also cover the Chub Chub Save Christmas briefly at the beginning of next episode?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I care enough.
We'll see if we talk about the Chub Chub Save Christmas. But we're also going to talk about Buzz Lightyear Star Command, The Adventure Begins, starring Tim Allen, a film that we covered once with actually one of Caleb's other co-hosts on one of his other podcasts, Joe Schrimmer, was a pilot movie for another show called Buzz Lightyear Star Command. That was the full title. It wasn't The Adventure Begins starring Tim Allen. It was just Buzz Lightyear Star Command. And there's a Christmas special of that show called Holiday Time. So we're going to watch the Buzz Lightyear Christmas special. For
Okay,
our Christmas
great.
episode.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see you then. Looking for the Ocean is produced by Mark Young and Danny Vincent.
I don't have it open, sorry. Well, while I get it open, thanks again for our guests for coming on. It was great to have you guys. I'll probably thank you again when we're done reading this a third time.
Woot woot.
The show is edited by Mark Young.
Our artwork is by Sarah Knopf.
You can follow us on social media at Looking for the Ocean, Instagram at Looking for the Ocean Pod, and Twitter at Pixar Journey, and on our website, lookingfortheoceanpixar.podbean.com.
You can follow me, Mark Young, at markyoungperformer.com, and on my Instagram at myounginsta. My next show coming up is a production of Mr. Marmalade, where I'll be playing the title character, and that is in January. I think that this is going to come out after my show in the middle of December just wrapped. But anyway, get tickets to Mr. Marmalade. That's going to be a fantastic show. It's going to happen in a living room, and they're going to be like 3 cats there.
It's like
and
Drake
if I'm
and
not
Josh.
dead, if I'm not dead because of the cats, it's going to be fantastic. So yeah.
Hey, actually, really quick question before I wrap up. Alex and Steven, have you guys ever seen Cats 2019?
I made
Yeah,
Alex watch it.
yeah. It was a contentious part of my relationship with Caleb.
Well,
Or
the
a day.
reason I bring this up is since 2019, I've seen it once a year, and I always show it to someone new, and I'm due for 2023, and I'm trying to find someone to show Cats to.
Danny, let me cut
Oh,
you off
God.
right there. All right, I wanna say I love you. I appreciate you. But I'm gonna ask something really mean. What the fuck is wrong with you to where you've seen Cats every year since 2019?
I've covered it on this podcast before, so I won't say it to you now. But when we wrap up, I can explain it to
Okay.
you. When we're done wrapping
Alright.
up. I'm not gonna make Mark
I'm gonna-
suffer.
I'm
It's
gonna go ahead
also
and preface
mostly a
this by
joke.
editing it
I didn't mean any offense by that whatsoever, but
I mean, you can mean offense about cats. I'm not bothered by being yelled at about watching Cats that much. It is a logical thing to be annoyed about or confused about. Anyway, you can follow me, Danny Vincent, at Blankmans on Letterboxd for all my takes on all the movies. You can listen to my other podcast that I do with Caleb and also Sarah called The Snub Club. We talk about the movies that most Oscar nominations, no wins. Our Christmas special there is going to be on The Color Purple because there's the remake coming out soon. So we figure we might as well just jump ahead and do some free marketing for WB.
They need it.
But then also, this episode comes out on the 15th, so if you happen to be near Bedford, Indiana, and you want to go see a play I wrote, it's happening tonight. If you're listening to this morning, get on over there, see How Life's Got a Rings. It's about It's a Wonderful Life, if there wasn't a wonderful life. But yeah.
All right. See ya, everybody. Thanks, Star Wars Therapy. Go listen to Star Wars Therapy. Thank you, guys.
thank you.